Hi, I'm Lucas Mack, and I'm on a mission to see the hurting get healed and the healed go out and heal others, in order for all of us to experience the true love and light we desire. This podcast is me sharing my journey with you, so you don't feel alone in your journey. Welcome to the Golden Rule Revolution. Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome back to another episode of the Golden Rule Revolution. I am Lucas Mack. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I'm pumped for this episode. I had the pleasure of interviewing Gale and Mathew Britt of Galt's Landing and also of Food Forest Abundance. What they are doing is truly incredible. And in this episode, I had a paradigm shift. Literally, what they're presenting for us in humanity is going to be a game changer. The new earth is coming. It's already here. So many are preparing and building it. And in this episode, you will hear Jim's vision, passion, and Matthew's passion for what is being built right now all over the world, thanks to them and their vision. And I'm pumped to share this episode. Brothers and sisters, we are living in an unprecedented time where we get to bring again living in the abundant garden, the Garden of Eden on earth. There's an old rabbi that said, this world is still the garden. It's just our job to dig it out. And that's what these beautiful men and these beautiful souls are doing. So I'm excited to bring this episode to you, and everyone enjoy. Well, brothers and sisters, like I said in the intro, I am really excited to talk to Gale and Mathew Britt. Jim, I saw the tour video that you did with McKinley interviewing you. I think it was like 50 minutes long, and you showed meditating next to a beehive, and the freak. I'm like, this is my type of guy. So I got to talk to him, and I'm so glad to have you on. And Mathew, I'm so happy to meet you. And let's talk about what you guys are doing in this world to change this world.
Well, it's wonderful to be here with you, brother. I love your energy, your smile, just everything about your vibe is so beautiful. Our intention, and I like going from like reverse engineering, starting with the farthest thought, the most inspiring and empowering thought that I can imagine. Right. And there's a foundation to this thinking. It's, I read a lot of books, one being Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. You probably know about that one.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
It's a classic. Napoleon Hill was commissioned by Carnegie to study the most successful entrepreneurs in the world. And after a lifetime of studying these individuals, Napoleon deducted whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. Now, that's a mega statement, right? There's no limits to that statement. Whatever your mind, everybody listening, whatever your mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. So I started playing with that using creative questions and asking questions like, what's possible? What can the world be like? Is peace on earth possible? Just the question alone, it's a presupposition that of course it is, if you combine that with Napoleon Hill's work. So then I became obsessed originally through scarcity, because I was scared, because I was aware through studying permaculture and then through red pilling to find out what's actually going on with the poisons.
Right.
I became aware that we're absolutely destroying our world. Then I started asking questions around how is this happening and why is this happening? And that started in 2007, and it has been an obsession until about 3 years ago, when I very strategically changed it from an obsession, obsessions are typically based in scarcity and fear and worry and anxiety, right? So then I'm like, okay, I learned from some of my teachers that is destructive energy. And by the way, I had done 1.3 billion in the mortgage industry, and I had made 20 million bucks. I had a small motor yacht. I was living on the ocean. So I had a lot of time and I had a lot of money. Well, when I went into scarcity, when I first learned that we're destroying the world, I had 2 daughters, and that was my catalyst for my asking new questions. And I started digging in, and about 16 years later, I found myself completely broke. I had invested every penny and my energy, everything I had, into the solution. I built communities in Nicaragua and Costa Rica, and I've been screwed by the government so many times and learned so many tough lessons, but I wouldn't change a thing because you stick with it and you learn from all those mistakes and all those learnings. I don't even look at them as mistakes anymore. I learned so much from those, what I would call failures at the time. They were just part of the process of who I needed to be where I'm sitting now. And so 3 years ago, I made the conscious decision to elevate my frequency, my energy, my vibration to that of joyful obsession. And now, just last week, through a walking meditation, I elevated again to a loving obsession. And every one of those is an energy system. So basically what we see now is a clear path to peace on earth in the next 4 years.
I love it. I love it. You know, you're building for what is to come. And I've had this vision and I've had this download for many, many years. Actually, the past 3 years, I see a wall of water that went up, and I wrote about this in this ebook that is released, where this wall of water goes up to the sky as far as we can see, and it's maybe 6 inches in depth. And we can kind of get premonitions on what's on the other side, but we can't see clearly. And I kept hearing what this vision I kept getting is, first comes truth, then comes healing. First comes truth, then comes healing. Yes. And this water wall is the truth that's about to just pour. I mean, it's going to wash away everything, all the institutions that we've lived with, religion, government, politics, corporation, all the entrenched, hidden, and unseen forces will be exposed when this water wall falls. And what will be left is the healing. And when I saw your video, I saw there's all of us, and humbly I will say us in this, Matthew, Jim, all the people you're having on the 11th, which we'll talk about. We are for this on the other side of the wall of water. We're preparing right now, and there's this world that's still holding on to this side of the wall of water, and they don't understand that they're holding on to things that are going away. And so I love what you're talking about, because we will have peace. We will have health again. The plants will grow again. The colors will be richer. Our cells will be fuller, of more life. And so I just want to say, I love it. And I'm so glad you're on. So glad you're on.
Me too, brother. And the word apocalypse means the great reveal. Right. So people are scared of the apocalypse. No, we got to embrace the reveal of the truth, because on the other side of the wall of water is beauty.
Yeah, it's beauty. It's goodness. So Matthew, jump in here, brother. Like, how did you first hear of Jim? I know you shared with me before, but talk about that story. And then what's the journey been like since you joined?
Yeah, well, again, Lucas, thanks for having me on as well. I'm really grateful to be here and echo Jim's sentiment, man. You stand out. Your energy is really contagious. I see the great words in behind you, faith and love and joy. And, we're definitely in alignment with all of that stuff.
Love it.
So for me, hearing Jim speak about 2.5 years ago on the High Wire with Del Bigtree, and shortly after on the Tinfoil Hat podcast with Sam Tripoli, that was enough for me to say, I got to meet this guy and I want to find a way to collaborate with him. And my first intention actually was to unify the business I was with and food forest abundance. I just felt that there was a great potential partnership opportunity there. It didn't work out at that time. And I really was put in a position where I need to make a choice. What am I going to do? I didn't not like my job. I enjoyed what I was doing. I was the head of business development for a great business in the United States. A friend of mine is the CEO of that company. But overall, I just felt this calling and desire to make a much greater impact overall in the life that I was living. I didn't want to settle for mediocrity. I wanted to pursue gigantic goals and missions, and Jim laid out the path to really a world that is full of abundance. I had this belief that all this was possible. I've read the books Bold and Abundance and The Future is Faster Than You Think by Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler. And in those books, those guys, they lay out really the path that Jim has laid out too, but they show how all this is possible. And I firmly believe that abundance for everybody is here. It's here now.
Yes.
But we continue to be fooled that it isn't. Right. And not a single person on the planet should go without today.
That's right.
There is not a shortage. I heard Elon Musk talking to Joe Rogan yesterday in their episode together. I think this is number 3 or 4 they've done together. And Elon was talking about how fooled the population is and how there's so many of the World Economic Forum leadership that are telling us we don't have enough. The world is overpopulated, that humanity is the problem. Right. And meanwhile, Elon's going on the other side saying that is just a load of shit. We have enough for everybody. Yeah. And that when we just really start utilizing our resources wisely, that everyone will experience the abundance that is here right now. So what I identified that resonated so well with me, what Jim had put together, and I just decided to jump in, grab his hand or his coattails and do whatever I could to be here. And, like he said, it was joyfully obsessed. And I love that little statement change, Jim, how we're now lovingly obsessed, because that operating in the frequency of love.
That's right.
Joy is a great one. That feeling of joy is really tremendous, but love even better. So where we're at now, we are unstoppable. Regardless of what is thrown our way, we are going to make sure we get this done. And it's an honor to be here with them. And I look forward to creating this beautiful future together.
So cool. It's so cool. Just both of you, your articulation and your energy and what you're putting forth, it's the resonance of nature. Like nature is God's cadence. There is no mistake. And you can just, that's what's beautiful. Thinking about this leading up to this episode is in Hebrew, the word for love is ahava, which means to give.
Yeah.
But the greatest act of love we can give to another is to receive their love. Like when I receive your love, I'm actually giving you love. You feel love. And that's what nature is in constant relationship with, releasing and receiving, releasing and receiving. And it's like what you guys just the energy that you're putting forth. It's cool because it's in resonance with that energy of nature. And you're talking about abundance. I just want, before I ask you a question, you reminded me, Matthew, of there's this old rabbi who said the world is still the garden. The earth is still the garden, but it's our job to dig it out and uncover it. It's there. It's just been hidden. And it's been, some soot has been fallen on it, but it's our job just to clean it away and reveal its beauty again. And that's what I feel you guys are doing.
Oh, and it's so, this is the fun part. It is so logical and so simple that people have been programmed to not see the logic and the simplicity of it. And how were they programmed? By fear and scarcity narratives. It's always the fear and scarcity that becomes the control mechanism of the wicked, of the evil, right? Yes. Evil is live backwards, right?
That's right.
It's incredible how simple it is. And here it is. Like, Victor Hugo's quote, his quote was, there's one thing stronger than all of the armies of the world, and that is an idea whose time has come. Well, that just drives a lot of people nuts because he doesn't say what the idea is. Right? It's like Buddha holding up the flower. But he didn't say nothing.
Right.
Well, it's so utterly simple. Idea. What happens in your mind when you get a good idea? A light bulb goes off. It's a light mente. It's enlightenment. Right? And the idea is a mind free of government, which means mind control programming. And that's always fear and scarcity. See, the idea is truly service and love and abundance and joy. Right? The idea is to give, because the best thing we could do for ourselves is to give and to serve in very logical ways, right? But then let's get even deeper into this, right? When we take out the poisons, the ultimate poison is fear, right? But on the physical level, the poisons like Roundup and glyphosate, which have already, Bayer and Monsanto have already paid $11 billion in fines for criminal class action lawsuits. And yet their product is still on the shelf. When we simply take the poisons out through being aware of how bad they are, and then we grow food instead of lawns. Right. There are 50 million acres of lawn in the United States alone. When we take out and transplant 60% of that into fruit trees and berry bushes that take less maintenance than lawns, then we have food everywhere. We have the Garden of Eden everywhere, and we solved mass extinction, deforestation, cancer, diabetes, heart disease. We ended world hunger, and we ended tyranny simply by living a life of service and stewardship to ourselves, our friends, our families, and our communities.
I love it. And let us end this fun. I mean, that is so good. That is so good. I mean, that is it. I really feel like we're waking up, and there's some lag. Obviously, a lot of people are still under the spell of the program, but there's so many of us who are waking up where we're saying we don't have to play their game anymore. And I always say the truth never needs to be marketed. So the amount of marketing that they put forth tells us it's not the truth. They have to put so many billions of dollars in campaigns and manipulation and frequencies and all these things. But the minute we say not playing your game anymore, and I feel like that's what you guys are doing. It's like you turned around and you went a different direction, and people are like, oh, I want to go that way. And the minute we turn around, they don't get our energy anymore. And that's what's happening. We don't have to fight them and destroy them. And we just say, not playing your game.
Exactly. We make the old way obsolete.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Buckminster Fuller says that one very well. Don't try to create or change what's already there. Just create a new way and make the old way obsolete. And that's definitely what our intention is. And it's what we're doing.
Wow. Yeah. I love that. So let's talk. I mean, there's so many things. Let's talk about Galt's Landing and the model, like the vision that you had for it, Jim, and then how it's coming to fruition. Because I will say, just watching that 50-minute video, I learned a lot. Where you're saying like this, you didn't, I don't know how you said it, but like there wasn't machinery that cut through these roads. It was just the path naturally you're walking through and pulling up medicine and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, God, this is the earth. And the earth is beautiful. So how'd you come up with the vision for Galt's Landing?
So it was an evolution of vision, right? It started with complete ignorance about, I didn't even know what permaculture was. I'd never heard the term. Permaculture means permanent culture. And it started out as permanent agriculture and agricultural design science. So everything we know, at least that's taught in colleges and universities around the world about monocultures and growing food is wrong. It's all BS, right? It's belief systems propped up by bad science, and it's all bullshit. The truth of the matter is this idea of some people might have a vision of the Garden of Eden where there's just food everywhere. Some people might have the vision of a food forest, right? It's the same thing, or simply using our land wisely. So what happened, I first started in Nicaragua, and then I found Costa Rica, and I liked the rainforest more than the dry forest. So I moved there, lived there for almost 12 years, and I lived right in nature. We had an animal rescue center. We had hundreds and hundreds of fruit trees, fruits that I'd never heard of, like so many of them. And I felt completely in love with the idea and the ethics and the principles of permaculture. So then I moved to, after being completely ripped off by the Costa Rican government. In fact, we beat them in court 3 times, and now they owe us a lot of money, $28 million, according to a court-appointed actuary. I'm not holding my breath, but anyway, I moved to, I recognized what was happening in the world. I know that the collapse of the old system is imminent. It's absolutely for sure happening because all unsustainable systems fail. It's 100% certain. That's the definition of unsustainable. So anyway, when we got back, one of my friends, Brian Hickok, and Christy, we wanted to buy a piece of land together. So I had this vision, and so did Brian, of what we wanted. He's a pilot and he loves to fly, and we both love lakes, and I love to fish. So we went to all the local developers and real estate agents in Central Florida, and we wanted to be, there was certain criteria. One was we wanted to be less than an hour from Orlando International, because that's where Brian's home base is. He's JetBlue. The other one is we wanted a lake, and we wanted the ability to have a runway. Right. So we told all the developers and realtors around the area, we're buyers, we're ready to go. And every one of them just looked at us cross-eyed. They said, no, I don't. In fact, several of them said that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as that. Well, I got a call 2 weeks after meeting this one guy, Bob, great guy, Bob Whidden. He goes, Jim, I can't believe it, but something just popped up. You got to come take a look. A 51-acre piece with thousands of feet of lake shore on a private 430-acre lake. Wow. With a mile-long paved runway bordering the east of the property. We now have the only dock on this massive lake that is just loaded with fish.
Wow.
And we have created a food forest, a completely off-grid community. John Galt from Atlas Shrugged, that's who it's named after, Galt's Landing. And we've created a completely off-grid community where we produce all of our own food, water, and energy on site, right? We harvest the water from wells and from rainwater catchment and from a 4-acre pond that we dug. We put 14,000 fish with 7 different species in the pond, and we use the pond water to fertigate the food forest in different zones.
Wow, cool.
And now we have over 230 varieties of food growing on the property, and it's absolute paradise. It's a demonstration site for everything that we talk about. So we don't talk about things. This is not a hypothetical solution to all the world's biggest problems. It's a demonstratable solution, and we are inviting more people to demonstrate freedom with us.
Amazing. Matthew, when you first went down there, what was your experience like? How did you feel when you stepped onto the grounds?
It's magical, man. Like you can't describe it in words. It's just a feeling when you go walking through that place. The diversity, right? 230 different types of edible perennial plants.
Wow.
Most people can't name 20 or 30. Right. And to see that many in one place, and just the abundance of life that it attracts to it, the energy that you feel, and then tasting the food, it's remarkable. And like Jim, I didn't know what permaculture was. Now, for Jim, it was 16 plus years ago. For me, it was 2.5 years ago. I had heard the word, but had no clue. It just seemed like, hey, this is logical. I believed in the abundance that Jim had talked about. So the leap wasn't a leap of blindness. It was, I believe this is possible too. So let's go get it. And I'll learn about it along the way. And now I really focus to inspire others just based on my own experience, seeing Galt's Landing and what's been done there, and having the belief that we can do this, and we can do it because it already exists. We can do it because enough people are telling us we can't, right? We're going against the stream. We're going upstream, but really they've created this stream going the other direction. The natural flow is what we're now turning it back around to. And every day we're talking to people from all over the world about doing this. And like you said earlier here, you see more and more people, air quotes, waking up.
Yeah,
it's absolutely true. People are realizing the bullshit we've been fed.
Right.
And they're now saying, I'm open to discovering what else is out there. What is true? Right. And once they're starting to peel back those layers, they're realizing how many things have been farces, how many lies they're told. And they're realizing that everything they've ever dreamt of, that they feel inside. I think people feel this inside. They know that something isn't right.
Right.
And they're starting to take action in a big way to create the new world alongside of us.
It's cool. I was, so I've professionally been brand strategist and creative director of big tech companies and big brands, and had my own agency for a long time, and also worked with some big manufacturers. And I was talking to Kubota about their product and what they got going on. And this guy said, we've just exploded since 2020 on the personal small tractors, the mini tractors that we do. And I said, yeah, because there's a movement of sovereignty and people are getting 1 acre to 10 acres and they're starting. And he's like, that's exactly it. And it was really affirming from a business side to say we're exploding in this market. And, you know, you don't hear that. You don't hear this man at a company verifies that they're exploding. That was the word he used. Yeah. People buying mini tractors. But if I just kind of put my ear in the air right now, I don't hear that narrative anywhere. You don't see that on the news. You don't even really see it on, you don't even see it on truther stuff. You don't see people working the land. It's still so much about the government and politics. And I think what's so beautiful, one of the many things of what you guys are doing is we're talking, yes, it's nature, but we're really talking about the beauty of humanity coming back in right relationship with our home. You know, it's like, I want to go home. I don't want to play in their sandbox. It smells like cat crap. You know, I want to go home and play in the garden. And it's just beautiful.
One of the things that I've come to learn and didn't really ever think about it before is how currently our food production systems, whether that's your backyard garden or the monoculture farm, both of them fight nature. They literally are fighting against nature. And that's what makes it so difficult, because nature is never going to lose. It's relentless. It is unstoppable. Yeah. Right? If we leave the city of New York alone for a few years with no people in it, it won't be long till it is overgrown with nature.
Wow.
And because we fight nature, it makes it hard. All we're suggesting is stop it. Stop fighting with nature. Let's work with nature.
Yeah.
It serves us and we're the great stewards of it. And when we just flip that script, it now becomes simple, because who does the work? It's not Jim and I. It's not the other people that have their food forests. It's nature that does it all. We get to sit back and let nature do what nature is designed to do. Wow. And we get to harvest and share that abundance with everyone.
Wow. That is a paradigm shift. That's a paradigm shift.
It completely is a paradigm shift.
Yes. Yeah. Jim, what,
go
ahead. Jump in, Jim. Go. I'll ask questions later.
Well, I mean, it's so funny because there's so many layers of BS in people's minds, programmed by design, by strategy, right? When Henry Kissinger 50 years ago said, if you want to control people, control food, it's important for people to realize how important that is. That was not just the ramblings of a psychopath. That was the strategy of the guy in charge of implementing the strategy. Right. And it all leads up to BlackRock, which is not only the name, but the intention and all that stuff. So what I am not a farmer. I am a harvester. I walk outside and I can get in 10 minutes, I can get a basket of food to feed my whole family. Now, if I want to eat fish for lunch and dinner, then it might take me 2 hours. And I have probably half an hour usually. But let's say in 2 hours on almost every occasion, unless it's really windy or something, I can have enough fish to feed my whole family and another family. Right. And chickens and eggs and everything else. And cows take a little extra work. We hire the butcher. We don't do it ourselves. We will. I just don't know how to yet, but I will learn. And we hire a butcher. Now we've got this huge pile of fresh farm raised meat in our freezer. Right. And what do we have to do for the cows? Almost nothing all year long. Same with the fruit trees and same with all the other stuff. We just walk outside and it's there.
So cool. By the way, this is a great quote that you just said. I'm not a farmer. I'm a harvester. That is a t-shirt. That is a campaign. There's a lot to that. That's fantastic. What about one of the questions I wanted to get out on this episode is what about, like, I'm in Dallas, I'm in North Texas, and it's completely different climate. So the climates, how does it work in different climates?
Matthew, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. We design appropriately for that climate zone. So people have greened the desert. Literally, they have taken the deserts of Jordan and many other places where it's literally desertified and converted that into lush green ecosystems. And the interesting thing is, as they start greening, they start attracting more water and again, more life.
Wow. Cool.
So you can do it in the deserts. You can do it in northern climates. I live in Canada. We have a food forest in northern Minnesota, which would be basically the same latitude as where I am in Ottawa, Ontario. And there's over 300 edible perennial plants in that guy's food forest. They've done food production in the north. You know, you can go up further and further north and still be able to do it. Now, some of the mechanisms need to change. If you're going way, way up north, where it's not really very inhabitable anyways, so we shouldn't be too surprised, but you have to change. You have to add greenhouses or other structures sometimes to make it work, but you get creative. You can still, even places like that, leverage the sun. You can leverage the geothermal energy that's in the ground. And there's greenhouses made today that are designed to operate in these northern climates. Cool. So it's manageable no matter where you live. It's a little bit different and maybe harder in some locations over others, but it doesn't mean it's not possible. And really all that matters is when it's possible, I am possible, right?
That's right. That's right. That's beautiful. Yeah. What's the ultimate
and the principles? I just want to put one thought in that. The permaculture principles lay it all out. It's a design science and it's epic. And so the ethics are earth care, people care, and fair share, which means reinvesting the surplus in a wise way. It doesn't mean at the point of a gun like communism. It means voluntarism. And then the principles lay out. So you can do the principles at the North Pole. And in permaculture, if you're at the North Pole, you're going to probably be eating seals and narwhals. Right? You'll create a habitat where you hopefully attract more seals and narwhals. So there's always a solution where people live sustainably. They're using permaculture techniques.
Cool. What's the ultimate vision for Galt's Landing? I know you're building homes on it, and is it? Yeah, I guess walk me through the ultimate vision for Galt's Landing.
The ultimate vision for Galt's Landing, and I've been visualizing this. I'm 102 years old, and I'm on my trampoline teaching my great grandkids how to do backflips. And all around is just epic amounts of life. The vision is to demonstrate freedom. Like, that's the highest level vision. Demonstrate freedom at every conceivable level. Levels that I have not yet conceived of, I will, because that's my intention, right? I'm aware that James Patrick Gale is just an AI, it's just nothing. The ego is just kind of a placeholder for the divine to express, right? And that's why when we're programmed, we don't have any new thoughts. But when we meditate and we relax and when we breathe and look around in nature, then all of a sudden we get inspired ideas. Where do they come from? Somewhere divine, somewhere epic. Some people would call it God, maybe. And many other words are.
Oh,
We lost him. Dang it.
Yeah.
That was, I was wondering that. Oh, here he comes.
There he is.
It's, we'll wait for him. But while we're waiting for Jim, oh, there you are, Jim. You're back. You just said some people would call it God, and then it cut out.
Yeah, and I really want to put a pin in this because this is so important nowadays. If you are mad at anybody else around the world for using a different name,
that's right,
then you are programmed, right?
Yeah, that's right.
This is the biblical war.
Yes.
Right now that we are witnessing. We got to stop the hatred, stop the voting for genocide on either side.
That's right.
And we got to start voting for peace.
That's right. That's right. Man, what's one of the things that you have been shocked most about? Like, Matthew, you said you don't have to fight. You're fighting against nature if you're doing these false things. So that must have been an aha moment. But what are some other aha moments you've had as you've gone down this path of what the earth actually can provide?
Well, I don't necessarily even currently know. I don't think there's any limits to what the earth can provide. I think it can provide us with every single thing that we need to thrive, not just get by, not scrape by. It's actually thrive. It can give all of us and all of nature, all the animals, all the plants, and the insects, everything we need to thrive. But one of the pieces that I think it's not surprised me, but has given me a whole lot more courage through these trials is the amount of people that are also on this path and seeking it out too. And how many people are really breaking through the bullshit and coming out and declaring that they want something different. Right. As Jim said, it's if you are angry at another person for them believing a different name over the name you have for this thing, you've been programmed. Like,
that's right.
We have to get back to, we are all the same. It does not matter the color of our skin,
right,
where we were born, what imaginary border we were born inside of. We're the same. And every one of us wants the same thing. We are all going for the same thing. We've just, again, been fooled to buy some story that makes us angry at our brother and sister for a reason we don't really even know why. More often than not, it's been passed down from a parent or a grandparent. But those truths of the lies that we're fed is starting to really peel back in a big, big way. Sometimes, the media will fool again more and more people around. They establish a new story, and you see some of the air quotes truthers kind of fall for it again and end up back in that place. Right. But overall, I think that there's a larger than we may believe portion of the population globally who is done with it. I think there are way more people than we currently think, if we're on the truth side, that are really a part of this. They've just totally turned their backs. They've shut off the television. They've turned off social media. They've unplugged. And they are now going forward with confidence, with faith, with courage, and taking action to take care of their own families. And even more importantly, take care of their communities, inspire their communities. Today alone, I spoke with 2 different people from different schools that wanted to implement food forests on their schools to inspire their children at those schools. And see what we're doing here. Yes, by establishing food forests everywhere, we help with a massive amount of things, but we're still, if we just focus there, we could be missing the kids, but we're not, right? We're still directing a lot of energy towards inspiring the children as well with these things that exist through the permaculture science. And as we continue to breathe that life into children, I think that our AI, our connected consciousness, that is all of the people, all of our brains in that neural network connected to one another, when we literally unlock that in the genius of kids, that is another way that we completely change the world.
Amazing.
Right? When you understand that if you took 100 5-year-olds and tested them for genius, almost every single one of them would be classified as a genius. It'd be a fraction of a percent that is not. But then if you tested that same group 5 years later, you would notice a sharp decline in the number of them that are geniuses.
Right.
And if you did it again another 5 years later, you'd notice an even sharper decline, where it's now into 10% or less are still at that genius rate. And then you even go at another 5 years. So now these kids are in their 20s. You would have a fraction of a percent that would still be classified as geniuses.
Right.
And why is that? Because our dumbing down system, also known as school, is robbing our kids of their genius.
Right.
But what we're also seeing today, especially with what Jim and I do, we see countless parents going, I've had enough of that. My child is a genius, and I'm leaving them out of the programming system called our education system.
Right.
And I'm going to take this into my own hands and give my children a chance to unschool and just be kids and self-direct their own education.
Right.
Because kids know what they want.
Right.
They tell us all the time. We just don't listen. Right. And then if we let them start being more in self-discovery, and we let them really communicate with one another and get in the practice of meditation, of breath work, of really getting connected that way, and then you start amassing more and more kids that are utilizing that brilliance and genius, what's the future they're going to create? Right.
Yeah. This is what's so beautiful. What you guys are talking about is it's bringing in spirituality. I mean, it's actually, I don't even like these terms because it dissects us from the truth of who we are. Like, we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, but we're also physical bodies having a spiritual experience, and both are beautiful. And it just seems that you're not, I was just going to say, like, you're not only on the right path, but I just want to tell you guys, even though you don't need it from me, it's just keep going and keep going boldly. Jim and Matthew, your energy too is just very, the strong masculine and strong and bold. Just continue, because as the voice crying out in the wilderness says, prepare ye the way of the Lord, in a sense, is these voices when people say, well, the cities are full of disease and filth and vermin and crime, and they're going to look to escape, and they're not escaping to barrenness. They're escaping back home to the humanness. And so I just want to acknowledge you both. It's just such a beautiful mission you're on.
And it's so joyful, and we invite everybody to join us. That's the thing. We are the messengers. So let's be the messengers by demonstrating love and service and abundance and planting seeds of ideas, seeds of awareness, and then seeds in the ground. And, this earth is a free energy system. The sun is a free energy system. So this idea that we have limited energy is completely insane, right? Every apple. Right. One of my favorite concepts to demonstrate this is you can count the seeds in an apple, but you cannot count the apples in a single seed. It's exponential. Right. That's the power of nature. And we are demonstrating this incredible truth.
That's awesome. Let's talk about what you got going on the 11th.
Awesome. Sometimes I shut my mic off because there's cars here beeping once in a while. But
no worries.
So on the 11th, we're having a celebration of freedom and abundance called The Path to Freedom. And we've got about 25 incredible speakers that are going to be speakers who have stood up in their roles, and they've already shown that they're incredibly wise and successful and courageous. In fact, Theo Fleury, the hockey superstar, just sent us a video. Matthew, I'm not sure if you've seen that one yet. It's in one of our Telegram pages. I've kept it there. And it's fantastic. It's just epic. And Pat Miletich, who was a 5-time UFC world champion, he was just at Galt Landing for a few days.
Oh.
And he is now a soil savior, and Theo Fleury is now a trauma expert. So from hockey to trauma, and from UFC to soil savior, and Brigadier General Blaine Holt, who was a complete, he worked for the dark side, and now he's awake, and he's like, no, we're not doing that no more.
Wow.
Right. And
oh, shoot. Well, I'll say, and my friend Melanie Martin is going to speak. She's amazing. There's just going to be a lot of powerful people there.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Jim, I was saying, and Melanie.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. Yes. And Melanie's fantastic. So we've got a film crew coming, and they're going to film the whole thing, and we're going to create a documentary that's going to lay out all of the layers. And we could talk for hours, and we have, about all the layers of the freedom puzzle that we have already in place. So now it's just a matter of just continuing to do what we're doing with everybody. And I mean, we being everybody who wants to live a wonderful life. That's who we are, right? That includes everybody. We have no patents, no NDAs, no non-competes. Everything we do is open source, and it's resulting in massive energy.
Amazing. And is that open to the public?
It is. Yes. You can go on our website, galtslanding.farm. That's GALTS landing.farm. And you can sign up for either on-site, or you can do the live stream one. It's $69 on site and $49 for the live stream. And then we're also going to do the documentary, and everybody's invited. We've got kind of a limit of around probably 300 people for the on-site. But then one other thing that I want to share, and in case I get kicked off, Matthew can continue to share about this. We're creating an app that people can have all of their questions answered real time. So I'll give you an example. If you want to grow food, and you're growing something and it's not working out, let's say the leaves are curled, or there's yellow bug on plants, you can literally take a picture. You can put it on this, and one of our professional permaculture designers will give you an answer in real time.
Oh, cool.
So, and that's just one of the many functions of this app that'll be to market in about 2 months.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. And, I feel compelled to say, God bless you both. And I am, God bless you guys. It doesn't matter. Like you said, the word, it's just a sound, it's a vibration. And we've been conditioned to, Matthew, you said, be angry at others. And it's also, we've been conditioned to be afraid of others, be afraid of these terms, but at the end of the day, we all want to be loved. We want to be known. We want to be safe. We want to be free, and we want to be fed, so it's like, oh, there goes Jim. But it's like, it seems like what you guys are doing is it's really the foundational piece. The Truth or movement hasn't really given sustainable ideas and solutions to how shall we then live post the downfall of this. It's not just Trump and Q coming to, yeah, great. Okay, cool. And then what? After they're all defeated, then what? And it's like, once I found you guys, I'm like, this is what I'm talking about on the other side of this wall of water. I don't want to put effort trying to fight that which is going away. I want to put effort into building the love and the life that we are to live. We are the stewards of the new earth.
Yes.
Yeah, brother.
I think another piece that is important to know about what we've been doing here is, and this is what Galt's Landing is. Galt's Landing is our first Freedom Farm Academy location. And a Freedom Farm Academy, to keep it really simple, you can think about it as a physical demonstration location that showcases everything that's possible when it comes to having an abundance of food, energy, water, and then even diving into healing. Because people today, they might have a belief that some of these things are possible, but their knowing is very limited.
Yeah.
And what does it take to actually help them have a new image in their head, right? If we think in terms of pictures, how do we change the picture? And what we continued to experience as we were talking to tens of thousands of people around the world about growing food was that they had a primary image in their head of the annual garden or the monoculture farm, which, as stated earlier, they thought about fighting nature. And that's not what we're doing. So we're like, how do we change that image? And the answer was really simple, but it was like an aha moment. It's like, get them to go through a food forest.
Yeah.
So we started doing that. We started sending people to walk through Galt's Landing. And as they were doing that, the image changed, right? It now gave them the new picture. So we said, hey, we need way more demonstration locations. If we're going to inspire this mass shift in consciousness, it's not going to be with our words. It's going to be by showing people and demonstrating it. So then we said, hey, we're going to do a complete disservice here if we only focus on the permaculture and the food production system, because people today have access to incredible products, incredible technologies, services that can give them that independence and self-sufficiency on every level. And it's not just one thing, it's many, many things.
Right.
So we said, hey, let's put all of these pieces, or as many of them as we can, together into these Freedom Farm Academy locations. And let's go showcase this stuff to everybody who wants to come and see it. Amazing. And give people a way to come tour these locations, experience all of these different possibilities, right? With our food production, we have the permaculture, but we've also got hydroponics and vertical gardening and electroculture and aquaponics and right on and on, microgreens. Then we can bring the animal husbandry into the mix. But then from an energy standpoint, we've got solar, we've got wind, we've got geothermal, we've got hydroelectric, we've got free energy devices that continue to exist but be suppressed.
Yep, exactly. I was going to say, exactly.
We've also got the water piece where you can capture the rainwater and store it on the property and move it around the property. But you can also get water from the atmosphere. There's atmospheric water generators. And then you can filter that water and structure that water and make it coherent and be better for you. And then, by the way, there's also incredible products and services and technologies that help with true healing, right? So we combined all of that stuff and created the Freedom Farm Academy business model. And I always like to reference it because people have a good frame of what an Apple store is, right? They've walked through an Apple store, or they've saw all the people in the mall at the Apple store trying the stuff, right? And why did Apple do that? Why did they give people the ability to go in there and literally use everything? Well, they knew when people experienced it, it made it real. And it made them say, I want some of this for me. Well, we've done that same thing. We've created these beautiful locations. We've currently sold 18 Freedom Farm Academies around the world. They're in 4 different countries. We only launched the concept just over a year ago, and they're in different phases of being built out. But our intention is 10,000 of them.
Wow.
And what would that do for changing the pictures in people's head about what's possible?
Yes.
When we establish one of these anywhere, if you go talk to anybody who lives around Galt's Landing now, it's jaws on the floor. Wow, I can't believe how incredible that place is. I want some of that for my own home.
That's so.
And as we do this more and more and more, it continues to accelerate exponentially the frame change, the paradigm shift, right? The new vision. So now people don't see off-grid as a little cabin in the woods with nothing. They now see off-grid and self-sufficient as possible with luxury, all the comforts that we're used to today, except it's uncontrolled and it's abundant.
God. Oh, it's freaking amazing, man. It really is. It's the coolest. I'm so glad I got connected with you guys, and I'm so honored to have you on the podcast and to share your heart, your passion. I'd give you a huge hug if I was with you right now. Just appreciate it. I feel it.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to get this.
On that hug topic, I started a t-shirt company back in 2014. called Let's Hug It Out. And the shirts, they literally just said, let's hug it out on the front of them. And the whole mission of the company was to spread hugs, positive vibes, and happiness around the world simply by wearing a shirt.
I love it.
And the power of those shirts, you know, although I sold the shirts for like $25, I got told over and over and over again how valuable those shirts were, because when someone put the shirt on, they felt better instantly because they knew when they went out of the house, they knew what that shirt meant. Right. So they got the residual benefit of buying that shirt had an exponential effect when they went out into the world, because they would get smiles, they'd get random hugs, they'd get people pointing and saying, hey, you know, look at that shirt over there, or whatever it was. They felt good wearing it, and people who saw it felt good wearing it.
Amazing.
And what I always used to say when I had that shirt company going was, what would the difference be in the front lines if before they started killing each other, they all gave each other a hug?
Yeah. That's right.
What would happen?
Right.
We would see a lot less death.
Yeah.
You look at how many times you even see clips of someone who's got a gun ready to hurt somebody, and something is said, and they end up embracing somebody else in a hug.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the gun goes away.
Right. That's right.
That human connection has been ripped apart from us.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's getting further and further apart because of the screen, right? The disconnection with the phone and the social media. Meanwhile, it's we've never been so less social.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. The true human connection, when we bring that back and we get people side by side, face to face, giving each other hugs again, leading with their hearts open and full of love instead of full of scarcity and fear.
Right.
How quickly will our world be different?
That's right.
Right.
That's right, brother. That's right. Speaking of hugs, this mentor of mine is telling me that they've conditioned us to hug wrong. That we've hugged on the left side, hearts away from each other, but we are to hug on the right side, heart to heart. And that's when the energetic love really passes from one body to the next.
Yes.
And so I've been practicing that, but it still feels unnatural just because the condition usually is. So I'm working on this, and it's only been a couple months. Well, my wife, and we have 4 kids, and our baby was sleeping, but we like to watch The Voice, the show where I don't know if you know the show, but people sing and they turn around and these judges choose them. Well, 2 of the judges, John Legend and some other one on the show, hugged on the right side. And I thought, they know, they teach the opposite. And I guess we're all coming into waking up to what the real power is. You know, they've kept it controlled for so long, and now we're taking it back, what's rightfully ours. And I don't know, brother, I just really appreciate you. Appreciate your heart and your mission, your courage to reach out to Jim and then join him. And I look forward to the day we'll be in person, and we'll give each other that hug. That'll be great.
Absolutely. It will happen.
Man, Matthew, thank you. And Jim, I don't know if you're going to watch this far, but thank you for coming on, both of you. And brother, I look forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lucas, for having us on. It's been an honor to be here. And thank you for what you're doing to get the message out to the world.
Well, brother Matthew and Jim, thank you so much for spending time. Jim, incredible that you're able to make that, especially what's going on with your mom. And I'm so honored to have that time with you. And everyone, I'll put the website in, go to foodforestabundance.com or Gulf's Landing. We got to get more people to understand what's possible with nature and food and energy. And we are sovereign beings. We are created in the image of the Most High. The Creator made us to live in synonymous harmony with this creation. And it is time that we learn how again. Brothers and sisters, I bless you all. I love you all. I am Lucas Mack. This is the Golden Rule Revolution, and I'll talk to you on the next episode. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening. For support in your journey, go to my website, lucasmac.com.